Gulf News at 10 on the Triad CW starts now.
The wreckage is just a part of an investigation, though I'm very confident we'll determine the cause of the accident.
Federal authorities right now are on the ground in California working to find out exactly what went horribly wrong as the nation and the world mourns the death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant and 8 other people on board.
And in the Triad, the rain has moved out. We're tracking the possibility, though, of wintry weather for some people. Schools in Grayson County, Virginia have already issued a 2-hour delay.
Watching him go down that hall, going to the elevator, is like, this is it.
And heartbroken siblings say their final goodbye to their dad moments after making the decision to take him off life support. Now, hospital staff thanked him for making the biggest donation of all.
And we will have that story in just a moment, but first we are starting with the story that has the world still talking and still stunned. Kobe Bryant's death yesterday. Federal investigators remain on the scene tonight where he and 8 other people were killed in a horrible helicopter crash.
And the Lakers organization that Kobe played for took tonight off, postponing their game against the Clippers. A memorial, meanwhile, has been growing outside of the Staples Center in LA, where fans continue stopping and paying their respects.
Connor Powell is there on the ground and gets us up to speed on this Monday night.
Last radar contact was around 9:45 a.m. and is consistent with the accident location.
More questions than answers as the world waits to know what caused the tragic helicopter accident that killed NBA superstar Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others. Now, federal investigators are seeking help from the public.
We're looking for photos of the weather in the area of the crash.
Investigators say weather is just one factor they're looking at.
We look at man, machine, and the environment.
The area around the crash site is now on lockdown in an effort to keep curious people and paparazzi away. No one is allowed within 5 miles of the site or allowed to fly any lower than 5,000 feet above. As investigators comb through the wreckage, millions of people around the world are grieving.
I instantly just started crying right on the spot.
The iconic Empire State Building splashed in purple and gold in honor of Bryant. For the first time since the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013, the Lakers have postponed Tuesday's game, saying in a statement, quote, "This is a very difficult time for all of us." In Los Angeles, I'm Connor Powell reporting.
And the city of Greensboro is honoring Kobe Bryant tonight. Officials lit the Green Street parking deck up in purple and gold, the only colors he ever wore in his 20-year-long NBA career. Continuing coverage of Kobe Bryant's untimely death coming up in our next half hour of news. In Robeson County, a state trooper shot someone during a roadside safety inspection. It happened just after 5 o'clock this evening. The trooper says this person was not involved in the inspection. They reportedly walked up with a gun and ignored the trooper's verbal commands. The trooper shot and injured this person who was taken to the hospital. No word on how they're doing. No one involved has been identified yet. The SBI is investigating. And in Yadkin County, authorities have charged a 22-year-old man with multiple sex crimes in connection to a rape reported back in September 2018. Toby Copley is accused of second-degree forcible rape, second-degree forcible sexual offense, and sexual battery. Copley is expected to face a judge on Wednesday.
A man from Winston-Salem is dead tonight. Police say he got pinned under a pickup truck. Daniel Bowles was guiding it as it backed up a ditch at his house on Pleasant Fork Church Road. The truck then slid down the ditch, pinning Bowles underneath the bed. The Winston-Salem Police Department says this is the city's first motor vehicle fatality of 2020. 8 Yadkinville siblings are mourning the loss of their father tonight. Richard Clark was shot in the head earlier this month and was taken off life support after 2 days. Our Brandon Bates spoke with his stepdaughter, who says the family is still trying to take everything in.
Outgoing, talented, and funny.
He just lit up a room.
Icolcher Chandler describes her late stepdad.
I got the call while I was at work, and I just broke.
Richard Clark of Yadkinville was shot in the head earlier this month during an argument over a few dollars. He was rushed to Baptist Hospital in Winston-Salem and placed on life support.
It was tough because we thought that he could, we believed that he could still hear. That's what they told us, is that, you know, he could still hear.
Chances of recovery dwindled, and the decision to take Clark off life support was left to his children.
And said, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Are we all in agreement on this? Everybody needs to be on the same page here.
The family decided to take him off life support at 5:07 p.m. 2 days after he was shot.
We were really proud when we made that decision.
Once the decision was made, the family now had to answer more questions about a funeral arrangement, leaving them no time to stop and mourn.
The fact that it's like, man, we can't even grieve. We can't grieve right now. We can't grieve, and that sucks. That hurts more than ever because so many decisions have to be made.
But this day wasn't the end for Clark. The 50-year-old was an organ donor, so he could have possibly saved somebody else's life. The hospital put on this memorial walk for the family.
Watching him go down that hall, go into the elevator is like, this is it. That's all I could think. This is it.
Zedekiah Conrad is accused of shooting Clark. He is due in court charged with attempted first-degree murder and possession of a firearm by a felon. He remains behind bars tonight. No bond.
President Donald Trump's legal team just wrapped up their arguments for the day. They are pressing ahead in the Senate impeachment trial, insisting the president didn't do anything wrong. At the same time, Democrats' demands to call witnesses are gaining new momentum after explosive claims by the president's former national security advisor. NBC's Alice Barr has this story for us from Washington.
President Trump's defense team going on offense today, attacking House Democrats' impeachment case as politically motivated and too weak to meet constitutional standards.
They say their case is overwhelming and uncontested. It is not.
The president's lawyers insisting he asked Ukraine's leader to investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter's business dealings out of a legitimate concern for corruption, not to influence the 2020 election.
And all we are saying is that there was a basis to talk about this, to raise this issue, and that is enough.
The Trump team also stressing the investigations were not tied to military assistance.
Anyone who spoke with the president said that the president made clear that there was no linkage.
But a bombshell new report involving former National Security Advisor John Bolton threatens to undermine that assertion. In a manuscript of his upcoming book, obtained by the New York Times, Bolton claims President Trump told him he wanted to withhold military aid to Ukraine until it announced the Biden investigations.
The senators should not turn away from this very relevant evidence.
I haven't seen a manuscript, but I can tell you nothing was ever said to John Bolton, but I have not seen a manuscript.
President Trump denying Bolton's claims and on Twitter accusing him of trying to sell books. Moderate Republicans, though, say the revelations strengthen the case for calling witnesses.
It's increasingly apparent that it would be important to hear from John Bolton.
Senators Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski all signaling they're open to voting with Democrats to allow new testimony, a potential game changer in the impeachment trial of President Trump. Alice Barr, NBC News, Washington.
So while that's playing out in Washington, D.C., we are now just 1 week away from the Iowa caucuses, and Democratic presidential hopefuls are going all over the state trying to win last-minute supporters. 4 days later, on February 7th, the latest Democratic presidential debate is scheduled. Andrew Yang has now qualified for that debate. He'll face off against a number of other candidates who've qualified for the debate stage as well: Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, and Tom Steyer. Well, looking ahead tomorrow, Michael Bloomberg's campaign is set to open its Greensboro field office. It's going to be located at 300B South Elm Street. The Democratic presidential candidate already has field offices set up in Winston-Salem, Charlotte, Raleigh, Fayetteville, and Chapel Hill. Tonight, the State Department is raising its travel advisory level for China because of the outbreak of the coronavirus. The agency now urges Americans to reconsider any travel to China altogether. Tonight, we've also learned a chartered jet carrying U.S. consulate employees from the center of the outbreak that jet is now on its way to Southern California. China is expanding its far-reaching efforts to contain the coronavirus by postponing the end of the week's Lunar New Year holiday in hopes of keeping everyone in the public at home rather than out and potentially spreading the virus. The death toll there alone is now more than 106 at last count. Some 4,500 have gotten sick. Mongolia closed its border with China, while Hong Kong and Malaysia announced that they would bar entry to visitors from the mainland province at the center of this outbreak.
And health officials here in the Triad say the risk of getting the coronavirus is still low, despite the fact that there are 5 confirmed cases in the country. More than 100 are under investigation right now. But an infectious disease expert with Wake Forest Baptist Health says the illness feels just like a cold at first, then turns into shortness of breath and in severe cases pneumonia. And like the flu, it can be spread by person-to-person contact.
For the most part, it seems to be having the most severe effects in older people, people with underlying diseases. There are no secondary cases, which means they have not transmitted it to other people.
North Carolina health officials say a patient being treated at Duke University Hospital tested negative for the coronavirus.
Well, we are still waiting to hear a little bit more tonight from the Pentagon about a mystery crash in eastern Afghanistan involving a U.S. military plane. NBC News analyzed this video, saying it appears to show a military aircraft typically used for electronic surveillance. There's no word on exactly how many people were on board at the time. The plane wrecked about 6 miles from a U.S. military base. The Taliban control most of this province. Flags across the state of North Carolina are at half-staff right now in honor of a soldier from Wilmington who gave his life in Syria. 22-year-old specialist Antonio Moore was killed in an accident while conducting route clearing operations. Moore was assigned to a unit in Knightdale, which is east of Raleigh.
Tomorrow, the country marks the 34th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion. North Carolina A&T State University is going to celebrate the life and legacy of an alumnus who was on board when the disaster happened. Ronald McNair was on the Challenger for a second mission when an explosion happened shortly after takeoff. He and 6 other crew members were killed. McNair went to A&T in the 70s, and tomorrow the school's hosting a program that will include a keynote speaker and presentations from students, faculty, city officials, and community leaders.